Okay, let's call this meeting to order. Let's have a roll call.
Agnes Fornarski, chairperson.
Present.
Dana Syvertson.
Present.
Peter Hahn.
Present.
John Kamish.
Present.
Ed Madden.
Present.
I'm Jill Moskell. All are present, and we have a quorum.
Approval of minutes for the regular meeting of January 11th.
I motion that we approve the meetings as drawn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes approved. Old business, update on workday schedules. We have had a couple of very, very nice workdays around the slough, both at Isaac Walton Park and then on the other side. We had pretty good turnout. We removed some invasive Siberian elms, which we cleared with the Park District first, and on the other side as well. We cleared out all of those resprouts. The last workday, I think we had like 14 people show up. So that was really great. Yeah, yeah. So all the resprouts, all on both sides. It's probably about half of the resprouts, all on that side of the hillside, were taken care of. So it was
It's a good
really,
workday.
really good
Nice.
workday. Really nice. This workday on Saturday, we'll see. I mean, if there's gonna be 10 inches of snow on the ground. I'm not sure how that's gonna work. It's supposed to stop snowing by then. You know, we have a sled. I mean, it's great. I've been cutting up the wood. Most of the workday is comprised of taking the wood that has been cut, cutting it up and just burning it. And then a lot of invasive resprouts. So if it's not too bad, we can still go out there. I mean, snow boots. It's supposed to be 28 degrees, not that bad.
I think what we'll do is, if we're gonna cancel, you wanna do the cancellation on Friday night or 7 o'clock Saturday morning? 7 o'clock on the morning of has sort of been what we've been doing if we have.
Well, what's the objective for the workday if there's 10 inches of snow?
Not much.
I mean, things are going to be buried, right?
Yes, buried, yeah.
So we'll spend a lot of time on burying things.
There's a good
to burn.
chance you'll know Friday night.
Yes.
Yeah, we can visit the site, tomorrow morning and during the day and see. But you're right, it's gonna be buried, but there's a lot of stacks of twigs, and so there's still a lot that can be done. And the wood is really dry, because it's been there for 6 months or more, so it's gonna burn. We'll see.
We'll try to look at it Friday. afternoon.
Look at the site tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll look at the site tomorrow, throughout the day, and see how that goes. As far as the rest of the work days through the winter, we'll split it up, Slough, Narava. This would probably be the only Heron Pond work day, but if we cancel it, then we'll have it, of course. That's that. Anybody else? Anything to
Nope.
say? No. Okay, seed greenhouse program. It's still too early. I've been washing pots. We have a lot of the pots, they're all recycled. We're good with that. We're just waiting for the weather to change, and hopefully we'll get that greenhouse in soon. If not, we can still use the little one and just patch it up. That's that, right? Any questions about that? We still have like maybe 15 pounds of seed left that we could put a little bit at Heron Pond and the other sites as we work through the winter. But most of our seed is already out there. Okay, next is the Library Park District program.
Okay, we had a spectacular presentation by Stephen Packard. Patrick was able to actually videotape it. So I will be working on that video page we're going to add to the website
Nice.
as the speakers of Nature Speaks. So that'll be a nice archive to have all those videos in one place. The next speaker is Allison Sacerdote Valette. That is April 19th, and then followed by Jerry Wilhelm in June. And so those are the next two big events. I'm just getting ready to start looking for new speakers. If anybody has any ideas of somebody that they feel might be a really good speaker or a good asset to add to the collection, I would welcome it.
Is a stipend typically made available through the Park District?
No, it's through the library.
I mean, through the library, of course.
It's $125.
will say, not to diminish Allison at all, but having Mr. Wilhelm is kind of a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Very
huge.
big.
It's
Yeah.
huge.
So, and why is that?
Why is that? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
Because
just
he's
so well
written-
renowned. He wrote the Bible, which is
And
the
he wrote
for
the New
Chicago
Testament.
region. Yeah, the New Testament. Yes, he did. He's there.
I'm just mentioning it really to kind of give that information out here for anyone
Yeah.
seeing it, that this is a big deal for him
It
to,
is a very
becoming-
big deal, and he waived his usual fee
yeah,
too as well. So he's
For a greatly reduced fee,
yeah.
greatly reduced. They basically visited the website and really decided they liked what we're doing, so they conceded their enormous fee. And we're really, really looking forward to it. So
Yeah.
It's a real asset.
amazing. Yeah, I remember when I was at Wild Things, and I walked up to the booth, and he was sitting there, like looking at some, like some apparition. Like, oh my gosh, there's Gerald Wilhelm. That's sort of how it is. So, yeah, really exciting. He's just very, very. He knows everything. Everything.
All right, so if anybody has any suggestions, just shoot them on my way and I'll pursue them. Grant reporting.
Grant reporting. So I have worked on the grant reporting from our side. We've passed out a copy of that. And so this is just a portion of it. There's an actual PDF file with a little bit of information in the beginning. And then this portion, we've done this before.
This is
so
the narrative
This is
part.
the narrative, which is supposed to be 3 pages or less. So it's about that, with pictures and sort of just explaining what we've done to this point with the grant. And then it's followed by an Excel spreadsheet of all the budget numbers, exactly what was spent, and the totals. And so Christina has all of that, Christina Ferraro has that, and that just needs to be attached onto the PDF. So we'll be providing her with this. This really should be in by the end of next week at the latest, but I think we have, a few days, and Christina has everything and all the numbers, and if she doesn't, then we have them too. So, I realize we just
Yeah,
did
so
a meeting. I
the-
finished it at 4 PM today,
And this
sorry.
is reporting to the Prospect Heights Park District what we do with the grant.
No,
It's
this
not, but
is
that's a great idea.
ComEd.
It's for
ComEd is
ComEd.
But why
It's for
does
the grant.
Christina get?
Because
Well,
she's,
She's
not-
going to add her portion to it?
no, she's the grant
Administrator.
administrator.
Even though the city and the park district combined funds, the park district was the administrator of the funds,
They actually applied for the grant.
right, and the applicant.
I
So
see.
they have all the numbers.
It's actually their responsibility to submit the report, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is our portion, but I think it's a great idea to, of course, and we'll tell Christina, it would be, I'm sure she's gonna share this with the park district board as well.
So the bottom line is read this. If you guys have any suggestions, pass them on.
It's a rough draft,
It's a rough draft.
so we included pictures and sort of what happened throughout the grant cycle and how wonderful it was, it is. Okay?
All right, here, give these to Peter. Start them that way.
Okay. So
All right, so the nature preserve interpretive signage,
here you can
I
start
have four
out of 7.
out of the 7 signs that are, these are,
Yeah,
Excuse
We
me.
wanna look at them first.
they're pretty close to being done. At the point when they are actually done, along with the other 3, we'll run them all by you as PDFs, and then you guys
Can
can
proofread. or
proofread,
make
remark, make
remark,
changes,
maybe
whatever you
different
want to do.
pictures.
And then we'll submit them to the Park District for approval, and then off they go for
Printing,
printing. The deadline on this is when, these have to be in the ground when, March 31st?
March 31st.
March 31st.
Because on March 31st, there's the annual egg hunt with the Park District, and they want to have sort of a grand opening of the nature preserve, as well as a grand opening of the, I see these, well, I'll look later.
So these are, this one is, we're waiting on a vector file here that gets rid of all this stuff and makes it cleaned up, but, so, the
We have all
formats,
the posts and the polls, the only thing that we're missing is that actual graphic.
Mm-hmm.
And, the words can be changed, all of these things can still be changed. It's,
photos, whatever, so,
I don't know what the turnaround time is for them actually shipping.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, We
I would
just
say
have a
they
little bit of
look
time.
great. John just mentioned though that
He did not.
we're both missing, and maybe that could be Photoshopped. Don't worry.
He's full of hot air.
That's the thing that glares out at you.
Here's a picture of you right here.
All right, so as Agnes said, we have received all the mounting hardware, the stanchions for the signs, the mounts for these smaller signs, so all that stuff has been received, it's in-house. And I guess the first workday where it's warm enough to get into the ground, we could actually set all the
Yeah.
posts.
And we still have one meeting before that happens where we can, once everything's completely done, we can think about actual placement along the trail.
What kind of posts are we,
These get mounted, there's a special mounting bracket, these things are a half-inch thick. They're, excuse me. They're a laminated sandwich of metal backer, and then it's a hardened plastic, and then the actual layer of print. And it's all laminated together, and then on the back, there's an angled bracket that puts it at the right,
It looks
Perfect.
very professional.
and then there's a single
nice.
post for these that come up, and it just bolts together, so it's just like
is it
perfect.
like a metal post?
Yeah, metal posts.
Four
they're
by
all-
four or something?
Yeah, they're all metal posts.
Okay.
They're round.
Right. And
So we
then
have to dig some holes and cement those in?
Exactly.
Okay.
just
Yes.
straight up post hole digger, or actually, we figured out a way to do most of the hard work with the auger.
With the auger, yeah,
Yeah, and then just clean it up with a post hole digger and pour in the cement, you're done.
okay.
The bigger sign is 24 by 18, I believe, something like that. There's actually two separate posts that get assembled to a cross structure, and the thing mounts on top of that. So all of that stuff is in-house already.
And then we also have the small signs that go by each individual plant. And Seth and I, he's been volunteering on Wednesdays, we've put out a few of them. There's still many more to put out, but the ground right now is not conducive to it.
Yeah.
And they're just basically, you just write the name of the
I
plant
saw
on
them.
it.
They're
Oh, you
cute.
saw them? Yeah. And then we also have these chalkboard types where you can hang on a tree or a bush or just put somewhere, and then they change, they're interchangeable. So you can write something like, you know, when there's something blooming, look over here, do you see this? And then something important about that. And the fear is that they might get stolen, and they might, but it's nice to be able to interchange them and to have something new said. So it gives a little bit of more interest. So when people are walking down the trail, they can look for new information all the time. So we still have those, but we haven't put them anywhere yet.
They do look nice, though. I mean, did you do most of the design, or
Which, these?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
All of it. yeah.
it's exceptional?
thank you.
Yeah.
So it's just the words are still maybe not perfect.
She did the words.
I did the words, but they're not.
I just put it together.
There's
Well, it
grammar
doesn't have
errors
to
all
be-
over the,
Doesn't have to be perfect.
There's some
All right,
imperfections.
move
We'll
on.
work on it. Would you like to maybe show Peter?
Yeah, we'll send those over to Peter. Peter, if you'd like. All right.
Okay. Okay, new business. Final PHNRC 2018 budget.
I don't have a copy of it. Jill, do you have one?
Sure.
Okay. Yes, okay. I'll share with John.
Okay.
Okay. So this is sort of, this is last year's budget and then the proposed budget for this year. And basically, we've cut out a lot. Right here, the grant match with the Park District. So at the last meeting, we discussed this, and neither Park District nor city right now at this time, because of financial reasons, are probably not going to want to apply for another grant. So that gets taken out of there. And then we also discussed at the last meeting that probably if we had to really pick something that's really very, very important to us, it would be to have an intern over the summer, because we get just the most, really the most out of that. You know,
mean
there's a lot of,
second intern.
a second intern, yes. The first intern has been donated for
Right.
the third year by our volunteer, one of our, so we've just limited all of this, and I don't think this reflects, is this?
No, this is just last year. I think what's important also is we still have $1,200 left in our budget for this year. And so all of these things over here in the description of expenses for last year's budget,
Yeah, this is,
some of those operational supplies we want to purchase with that $1,200 to supplement actually next year. And then
we have
that sort of
tools,
makes up
we
for
have,
that.
you know, we have so much already that we've acquired through.
Right.
So these are all
Yeah.
things that are still work.
And this is one of the years where none of the greenhouse stuff outside of dirt basically needs to be
Soil,
purchased.
that's it,
again.
soil.
Right.
Tons of, we need a lot of soil, but other than that, you know, we're good.
We're in
with
good
a lot of
shape,
everything. We have
so.
tools, we have pots and all
So that
sorts
was
of
the
stuff.
thinking, is just put it all out there to try to get the intern.
Well, the reality is there's diminished funds for the city, and like everyone else, we need to, you know,
Paid in the bill.
right, and so, but I think timing-wise, not that there's ever a good time for it, but it kind of is. I mean, in terms of the resources that were obtained prior that can still be utilized, is going to make this less painful.
Yeah, I'd say the big things are the herbicides and surfactants, especially because we're going after invasives this
Right,
year.
this year.
And I could see that number really jumping up. And, you know, some of the other things like work gloves and
Right,
promotional
they get
materials,
used.
stuff like that, we just pick up on our own.
Yeah, I
And,
know.
and that would be the real critical one, be the herbicides. And since we're,
But the intern
going
is
after it.
just, I mean, that gets so much work done, and so when you're talking about invasive control, there's gotta be a person to be able to do that, and so, you know, our volunteers don't have pesticide licenses. You know, we cut brush, we put down seed, we collect seed, but we can't really, you know, they can't do that, so, and then short of me taking off 3 weeks of work, it's difficult to be able to do that, so, I mean, that intern really just makes such a really huge difference, and in addition, I think that we really give a lot to the people that become interns. You know, there's so much education that goes into it, learning about it, and I really feel like we make a difference. We make a really big difference in their lives, you know, in their future endeavors and their career goals and all of these things. So I think that that's where we need to really ask for that. And so the budget, we are going to present that on March 12th. City Council, going to give a little presentation.
so if anybody's available, it would be nice to have a show of force.
Yeah.
Sure. Who's doing the presentation of the budget?
Probably me.
Dana?
But if anyone else wants to contribute, of course.
Absolutely.
I think our most, you know, our well-informed people are the best for that, and you guys are certainly the most well-informed.
So give a little presentation, maybe a handout, and, you know, just the importance of why it's important for us to have that intern, you know, why the successes in the past and the future, and why the city should feel that it benefits the city. The other thing is, and we'll talk later about the McDonald Creek Commission, but there's maybe some sort of, not a coalition, but a collaboration that we can
Yes,
do
because
with
they're
them.
planning restoration projects.
Exactly, so if we can use that intern to further their goals, we're sort of, you know, sharing our resources with another commission, which I think is very valuable and a positive thing too. We'd want to include that in our request. But we'll talk about it a little bit later too.
And plus, we should point out that budget is what we're asking for. It doesn't necessarily mean that's been approved yet, correct?
No, they don't have their budget meetings till
Right,
what,
so-
end of March?
Yeah.
The first one.
Yeah, okay. Right. Okay.
So we'll be at that first one asking.
March 12th, we're
What was your comment about herbicides and surfactants, that we really need that?
Well,
Or
those
we're
are the,
purchasing it on our own?
well, those were the
30.
things that run out.
Mhm.
That and soil. But we still have money right now until April. We can still expend those funds that we have until April 30th from last year, and we still have a lot of money in there. So we could purchase that, and, I mean, herbicide is good for a couple of years. It's just, you know, we could stock up on those things, stock up on soil, stock up on, and then we're still using our funds, and we're good for a whole year. Really important is that intern to get the work done. 'Cause
Okay.
we have, I mean, you know, we purchase tools, we,
Yeah, we're good on all for other fronts.
So we can do it. We can, you know, with volunteering and with all of this, we can make it happen for another year without the budget that we have previously had. And of course, you know, that budget helped us to get where we are, no doubt, but we can sort of work with it.
Yeah, I think it also needs to be mentioned, though, that the reason that we're in such a much better position and able to do this is because of the money that came from Commonwealth Edison and City and Park District grant from Marava
The grant.
allowed us
the
to
grants.
purchase a lot of
Yeah.
tools and things that we were in desperate need of. So that took that lion's share of that whole thing off the table. So that's why I think it's feasible that we could proceed with that as a game plan. Okay?
Very good.
Yeah, everybody sort of
Yes.
agrees with that? Okay. Anything else? No? No. So March 6:30.
6:30?
Mm-hmm. It's a Monday.
Yeah.
And we'll prepare everything and then run it by you guys, of course, and, you know, send emails. Okay, status summer interns. I think we just sort of talked about that.
We did, you know, again, we have the one donated internship, and as we discussed, the thinking was that we'd probably want to extend that to one of the past interns, just because
It's a proven,
it's a
I mean,
totally proven commodity.
right. And then we have a
Well-
senior intern too, which
Yeah.
just really helps, so, I mean, it's,
You want to have a learning curve.
Right,
yeah.
and he's
Although they're
already
still
got his
learning,
pesticide
but-
license, but
And just really hard worker, very involved, very interested in pursuing this as a career.
And we know he's interested and available this summer.
mhm.
Okay.
Which one? That's all, okay.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay, ComEd grant, participation by the City and Park District. Also, there was, we had proposed a lot of different ideas, and we were gonna talk about that, but I think it really, with everything, with financial reasons for everything, and the Park District not really interested in it. One thing is, though, and what we had talked about is Kiwanis Park as a possible site. So you guys weren't here at the last meeting, but basically it's right across the street from MacArthur and Betsy Ross. That stretch along Palatine Road, behind the Prospect Heights sign, it's about, how many acres do we say?
2.5, something like that.
It's a little bit more, I think it's almost 4 acres, going from
Okay.
Kiwanis Park. And so that property is owned by IDOT, Illinois Department of Transportation, but the Park District has leased property before. So School Street Park is also IDOT property. And so, but that's under lease. So they get to use the land, and the same thing like the ComEd under the power lines. It's the same thing. It's a leased property, belongs to ComEd, but the Park District leases it for their use. And so that area we were considering as a grant proposal. However, like I said, finances, but we can still think about the project, you know?
Well,
how-
in talking to Christina last night, she's definitely still interested in pursuing it as a project.
Mhm.
So what, you know, I mean, it's not off their radar at all.
It would take
so.
time to make sure that it really is IDOT property. I mean, this is just what I've heard previously, and to see if there's some sort of a lease agreement that can be done, and, you know, and.
Does everybody know what a Kiwanis
That's the
Park
wall
really
of
is?
buckthorn thicket that
Right.
runs parallel to Palatine
And Teasel.
frontage
Exactly,
on the south side, just
Mhm.
Yeah.
east of
right.
Right.
Schoenbeck.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's very much like Marava when we started. The, sort of the vision of that is, you've got Kiwanis Park as the tail end of it on the far east end, and then you've got that strip that goes all the way back to Schoenbeck. And it's basically all invasive, very much like Marava was, but the idea would be to clear all that out and restore it like we've done over there, but have a path that kids could actually take after school or to school.
Yeah, I mean, that's a
That
really
would go
nice
all the
path,
way down paralleling.
because they can't really
Palatine
go down
Road.
Palatine
Right.
Road. There's so many kids that live down there.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I know there's now a
The
site.
erosion
there,
is
but-
extremely heavy in Kiwanis Park,
Yes.
and so that desperately
Okay.
needs something done there.
Now,
That's their driving force.
And
We're-
the fact that it's right across the street from
Yeah.
the school. I mean, this is like 10 minutes, you can have a 30-minute class just
No,
by going outside.
we're likely to have some resident resistance though, aren't we? I mean, this is multiple homes that have screening from Palatine Road right now.
Mhm.
True.
So,
Yeah, it would definitely be a campaign.
yeah,
It would be a campaign, and then there's alternatives, you know, we can do it in phases, we can do it slowly, we can do it over 5 years, we can, you know, plant elderberry bushes along the way, right off of Palatine Road, they grow so quickly, within 2 years, you've got a 30-foot screen of a native plant, and you've got sort of a secret garden that you walk through, you know, on your way back from school. And I think, you know, communication and education, and, you know, maybe some town hall meetings, or with the residents, explaining all of these things, maybe some sort of.
Yeah, I mean, you could
we're doing a
certainly,
tour of Bravo to let them know, hey, this,
So this budget, though, won't support another project.
oh, no, 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 no.
We wouldn't,
This-
but we
this
can, you
would-
know, if, let's say, this all gets worked out during the year, and in the fall, we've got the go, we can
We
spend,
start cutting.
yeah, we just start cutting.
Yeah.
We do it in the winter, and that doesn't require a budget. Maybe we apply for a grant next year.
That's,
you know, this is sort
that's
of-
exactly how Marava happened, by the
Yeah,
way.
so, you
We
know, it's an
started working
idea,
on it.
I think we should explore the idea, because I think it's a really nice one. Doesn't have to happen overnight, though, and we've got plenty of things to do in the meantime. So,
I think I agree with Ed, that we gotta do a lot of groundwork with the residents around there, so we don't run into another issue, like the prairie. Not that prairie.
right, a lot of communication, I think, definitely. We don't know, I mean, it's just basically in the beginning.
I
Talks
never
about
walked
that,
there.
but-
It's all overgrown.
Yeah, it's
pretty
really-
bad.
Okay.
Okay, so that, and then Earth Day is next.
Okay, so the Earth Day and the structure of Earth Week, basically, we have some events already scheduled, and so what we were looking at, we were trying to incorporate was Allison's Nature Speak Talk is on the 19th. So that would be the kickoff event. On the 21st, which is 2 days later on a Saturday, we have
Second.
a special bird walk.
Oh, right, no, 21st. You're right.
And that's Lee and Mary Lou have agreed to do that. They're happy to do that. And then, so what we were trying to look at was, on the 22nd, we have our work day. So
It's a
there's,
Sunday, though, actually, it says Earth Day Saturday. That's a Sunday.
Earth Day is not, I don't know what day it is. No, it's Sunday.
The 22nd is a Sunday.
Oh,
just-
Sunday.
Sunday.
It just says Saturday.
All right, so we have our workday on the 22nd, and Jill had come up with the suggestion of, rather than doing just a conventional workday, maybe what we do is rebrand that and invite in people to come do little talks or seminars, you know, like Rick or anybody else that, you know, would be so inclined to come out and talk, and then just have it like a public event, where it's just, maybe we walk through some of the sites or something other than just doing work, and turn it into an event, I think was your concept, right?
Yes.
So, I thought it was a really good idea. Agnes, of course, wants to get work done, so. Surprise.
I think we should have a little bit of work. I mean, some people come because they like to work.
Would you work in the afternoon, have the event in the morning and work in the afternoon?
Sure.
Yeah, you or me.
Nobody I know.
So if anyone has any great ideas about that, what to do with that day, I mean, I like Jill's original idea of getting people from other, maybe even other restoration programs to come in and,
I would think if we want to get exposure and we want to get some publicity, it's got to be something fun, not just a workday. This is like any other one, you know, but to do something more, you know, of a tours and, you know, showing off what we've done. I think from a promotional aspect, definitely give us more exposure than just a regular workday.
How have the tours worked before, though? We've had relatively low turnouts on those.
Mhm.
We have had low turnout. Mm-hmm. Well, it depended, I guess. Because we do a lot of tours right after our workdays, especially during the growing season.
Yeah.
So people who like come to the workday, the last hour we did a tour, they don't show up to the tour because they just had one.
Right.
2 days earlier. And April is a sort of a time where things aren't coming up yet either. I mean, things are still nice, but there's not a lot of things to show, not a lot of plans, not a lot of things to talk,
You know,
you know,
So
so
then maybe a work day.
that's just, I
Going to
mean,
work.
we could talk about just about anything and it's still beautiful in April and things are just coming in and maybe it'll be a really beautiful day.
Could also be really miserable,
So
too.
is the day before the bird walk though?
Our workday's
The
on Sunday.
20th is the only blank day we have there. So if anybody's got any bright ideas
If
for
we
an
were to
event,
add in addition to the
add an
workday,
additional event
unless we
of
do it
some sort.
during the workday, the 22nd on Sunday.
But the bird walk is the Saturday.
Yep,
Yes.
yeah, the 21st. Mhm.
So 19, 20.
I mean, we can always leave it up to the bird walk too on a Saturday
Mhm.
and still have our workday on Sunday. Participation would be- I think we tend to get the same people.
I mean, one possibility would be on the 20th, maybe just to get a room from the Park District at Marava and just do like an informational event on the 20th.
You think it in the evening then?
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, it's a work day. so-
Mhm.
I think if you do that, you should have food.
Have food?
Yeah,
It's not in the budget.
food and drinks. I know, but we could maybe pool our resources.
I like the idea of a walk, though. I mean, even if there's not.
It'd be
you
nice
know,
to get
100 different
outside.
Species. Yeah, it'd be nice to be outside, because, I mean,
There's that shelter over at Isaac Walton, right at the slough. We open up those fireplaces and
oh,
have a gathering in there.
open up the fireplaces. You know, we used to, a long time ago when there was the Friends of McDonald Creek, we had a nature palooza there.
And then if it's,
Yeah, but if we did
if it's
that,
raining, unless you've got a roof over your head.
yeah, we can have sort of maybe booths too.
And if it's not raining, you know, you have the
Then you-
pavilion, or the deck.
Mhm.
Right.
Deck, and then you got trails right there.
And
go around.
trails to walk around. If it's
So were you,
wet, we can-
you suggesting that for the 20th or for the workday? Combination?
Either or, I don't know, I was just,
Well, again, the problem with the 20th is it's a business day,
Yeah,
so,
Yeah.
I mean, we could just let it go too,
Yeah.
just do those 3 days.
but I'm thinking more for the Sunday,
Mhm.
Instead of the work.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Having a bonfire perhaps with some kielbasa again, and then just showing off that, you know, the whole slew area.
We can have an abbreviated workday too. We could do like
will we have any
9 to 11 and then
potted
11
plants
is.
growing at that point? Little
Yes.
plant giveaway?
They won't be
They won't
probably
be
big
quite
enough.
ready yet?
No, not ready to give away. They still, it's still frost
Yeah.
season, not time. What do you
Well, that
We'll
has
have to
some,
think about that.
yeah, and we got time to decide, so.
Probably, it'd be nice to plant a tree someplace,
Oh.
you know?
Yeah.
just Have just one tree
Yeah,
someplace over
we
there.
could plant a lot of trees.
Yeah, it'd be nice to plant a lot of trees, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying, so we don't, you know, overwhelm the day,
Right.
or spend too much time.
Mhm.
Just plant one nice tree, someplace, by the pavilion or Moravo, someplace.
I like that idea,
Yep.
I like that idea too.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Something needs to go on the ground.
Yeah.
On
that
Earth
way,
Day.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
What if, because nothing's blooming, what if we could give away photos of our sites for, you know, for people to frame, or of prairie plants, or birds, the eagle? But photos of that occurred on our sites or in Prospect Heights.
I think we should also have a birthday cake there, and we all sing Happy Earth Day.
Are you gonna come up with a song?
Happy Earth Day
Happy Earth Day.
to you.
Okay, you got that, so.
Okay.
Let it rip, Ed.
Done.
Okay, well, we still have time. Those
do,
are
but
great,
not much
good
time.
ideas, you know.
Yeah, those are really nice ideas. I like that. Have we decided that we're then not having a work day? And we're just gonna have
That's my goal.
I would say just have token work,
token work,
Yeah,
like planting
More
a few,
demonstrative.
like a tree.
a tree and a few
Yeah.
shrubs.
A couple trees, you know, depending on how many people show up, you know, small groups, 4 or 5 people, or, you know, participate in planting this tree.
Yeah, we can have
Make
one
them
really
feel
nice
good
tree,
about
but
it.
we also have 30 swamp white oaks that we have. They're
Okay.
second-year oak
No?
that Maria picked up from the library. They were being given away at River Trail. Have a lot. We have
But it
donations.
could
We have
encom-
over 100
Yeah.
shrubs that were donated from Oakton, from Ken Schaefer.
So it could encompass like a demonstration work,
Mm-hmm.
like what's done, and so we're a little bit's done, but the emphasis is maybe not necessarily on solid work for a certain point, but go through and, you know,
We can have a timeline of events too. So it's like between this hour and this hour, this happens. And so whoever's interested in that, they'll come there. And then if they're only interested in food, they'll come at like noon. And if they're interested in, planting trees, they, working, they can come from 9 to 10. Something like that, maybe. Sure.
I'll have to
It should be a fun day.
Yeah, definitely fun. And tours all around.
All right, I'll put the, the copy together for the 3 events then, and then run it by you guys. We'll start there.
Yeah, and then we'll talk about it still. A little bit of time.
Okay.
Great. Okay. Next on the agenda is the McDonald Creek Commission meeting of January 23rd.
Yes, I attended the meeting. Kathy Brady, who's the chairperson, created and produced a brochure on McDonald Creek to be distributed to the 140 homeowners that border the creek. The brochure covers specific information on McDonald Creek, such as stream maintenance, how the creek is a vital component of city infrastructure, and how residents who border the creek can help maintain it by removing trash and debris. Once the McDonald Creek brochure is approved by the city administration, MCC plans to conduct meet and greets with homeowners. MCC researched legalities of creek ownership and easements. The McDonald Creek is not a public waterway. If the creek flows on a resident's property, it is considered a private stream with the resident as owner. A homeowner's plat of survey would denote this information. MCC's strategy plan for year 2, winter and spring of 2018, they plan to produce and distribute the creek brochure, educate the community and homeowners about the creek, involve our aldermen, recruit volunteers, schedule workdays in the spring, begin a restoration project along the creek shoreline, and conduct a campaign for Cleanup Creek Day starting in March. MCC plans to make a presentation to the City Council once their website is completed, which is tentatively scheduled for March. And I have a suggestion for PHNRC to meet with the McDonald Creek Commission and offer to collaborate and assist them with their restoration project objectives, because it did involve removal of buckthorn. Their next meeting is Tuesday, February 27th, 6 p.m.
I think they were looking at a particular section of the creek that they wanted sort of as like a pilot project of creek stabilization
Correct.
near Somerset Park. I don't know.
Correct.
They have
Somerset Park, and they did mention Kiwanis Park as well.
But I don't, if they've reached out to the Park District and,
No.
No.
I
No,
don't
I
think
talked to
that's-
Christina, she said that has not.
no, not yet.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I think collaboration is great, and I read that, and it said something about purchasing native plants from us,
Mhm,
which they
yes.
can't do, but we have plenty of plants to give, and
Give.
we're sort of working on the same goals, so sharing plants, I mean, the growing the plants isn't the issue, it's the work involved in transplanting them, and then planting them, those are the two big ones. Watering them is not an issue. Holding them over is not a big deal. We have the greenhouses and all of these things. You know, if they wanted plants, I mean, they wouldn't have to purchase them. They could, you know, have one transplanting session with their volunteers or whoever they can gather and plant them.
Well, I personally feel, and I was trying to convey this to Kathy, that there should be a collaborative effort between the two of us. We could be
Yeah.
helping each other
Absolutely.
and including public awareness as well.
Absolutely. And even, you know, if we have the second intern too. I mean, it's
Mhm.
just, we're all sort of, it's the same goals.
Well, that's where
Yeah.
we started.
Yeah.
You know, Friends of McDonald Creek really was the, you know, the beginning of the commission. So, it's our roots.
Are you guys comfortable with that idea?
Oh,
Us
yeah,
Reaching
totally.
out to them?
Oh, for sure, yeah. MWRD doesn't have anything to say with the work that,
Oh, they do.
yeah, that's,
Yeah, and not just them, it's also, you know, Illinois Department of Natural Resources, the city has
Yeah,
some
everybody.
jurisdiction there as well, as does IDOT,
Mhm.
the Army Corps of Engineers.
Right.
It's just technically owned by the homeowners or private property owners along it, but they definitely
But
have.
stream bank stabilization by removing buckthorn and planting native plants, I mean, that's things that you don't need permission for. If you were to create something in the waterway, you know, you're just replacing one plant for another. That's gonna stabilize the shoreline. You're not altering flow in any way. If you're altering flow or putting a structure on, then you definitely need all of these permissions and all of these things. But, you know, these are things that even homeowners should do because it's on their property. And so I think, you know, if they want to do a pilot program of just vegetative restoration, not talking about like doing flower rolls or gabion baskets or little stream riffles or anything like that, no structural components, but just basically removing the vegetation and replacing it with something that has deep root structures that can stabilize a little bit more. That's great.
Now, they wanted a couple meetings ago, we were talking about generating a list of native plants that are appropriate for the stream bank. And so we should probably make an action item where we put that list together and get it to
Okay.
them.
Soon.
Not to put more on your plate, but you know those
Well, I mean, I
plants,
can
and
make a- yeah,
it might help in their,
Yeah, sure. And I mean, I can make a list of like the top 15 or something, you know?
yeah, I mean,
It wouldn't take
if-
long,
if that, I mean.
no problem. But certainly we can, I think, collaborating in any way we can. to-
Totally in favor of that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you want me to make the contact, or do you want to?
I think that you've been going to the meetings.
And
so I
John
think-
has to.
And John has too, so either
I'd
one
like
of you,
to
I think.
make a motion to make you the official
Oh.
Creek Committee liaison.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye. Awesome, Joe.
Get her new business
how much-
cards.
Weight I carry, but. Okay. I
No,
can
it would
do
be
that.
great because you've had contact with them, and I think, you know, we can also, if they want to have some sort of a meeting, or,
Okay,
you know, but we're certainly willing to help in any way that they want.
okay.
Their resources are limited, and, you know, we sharing first. I mean, this is something that we were thinking of doing too, Somerset. I mean, this is a
Mhm.
project that has been,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so definitely, or any other area too,
Okay.
not just Somerset, but any area.
Speaking of Somerset, whatever happened to that plan?
It's still there. I have it. The plan is there, but the funding isn't. So when the Park District reached out to a company, and they gave them an estimate of something like,
Definitely.
no, it was more than that. I think over $1 million.
Wow.
Maybe it was $500,000. Either way, it's a lot of money. It's just, it's not really feasible. And so we thought maybe to do it in sections or in portions, but they're just not interested right now. They
There's
did
also
that.
the issue of the church and the parking lot over there.
Yeah.
And that has never been resolved, and it didn't look like there was a clear path to resolving it. So that's still an issue, which I think weighs into their decision on moving forward. with
The
it.
good part about that area is that there's been a lot of communication with the residents around the area, and if you guys remember, but Jamie Redmond from University of Wisconsin-Madison did an original sort of survey. She had town hall meetings as part of her thesis for her landscape architecture, I think, her master's. So she met with all of the residents, and she had pamphlets out about what sort of area they would prefer. Would they prefer to look at this or this or this? And so she talked to them about the potential of stabilizing that creek and having it into a natural area. She's a resident of Prospect Heights that has always seen that area as needing help. So those residents, you know, they were exposed to that. And then also when Sean McMillian came, he also talked to every single resident, and he, you know, I don't think he had a town meeting, but he certainly reached out to every single one of them.
We had a lot of email.
A lot of
dialogue.
email, a lot of dialogue about, you know, what they see and what their concerns are. And I know that even last year, we received an email from someone like, hey, why isn't there work being done over here? You know, so people are sort of waiting and expecting it, and so I think it's a really good opportunity to get something done there, because it's been a few years of this sort of back and forth. But ultimately, it's the park district that decides that. It's their property, and, you know. But if they do, then we're ready, and we can help. Anything else about that? No? Visitor comment?
I don't see any visitors.
Visitors.
That's no visitor, that's Peter.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.